Hey guys, this is Nick from forexfornoobs.com with some daily analysis. Today is Tuesday the 16th of August 2016 and the time is 13:04 here in the UK. You're looking at a USD JPY daily chart. In today's analysis we're going to be looking at every pair on my list here, and we're going to be looking at each of the time frames for those pairs. We're going to be scanning our charts for price action setups. So I'm going to be looking for setups. That doesn't mean actual trades, it just means potential trade setups that might form into trades or might not form into trades. And sometimes when I do analysis, I don't find any setups. Sometimes I find 10 setups. It really just depends on the day. I do this analysis several times per day. I only post it to YouTube once per day because I don't want to do a video 5 or 6 times per day. Anyway, so in this analysis, I'm going to be looking at each and every pair on this list, like I said, and then I'm going to be looking at the time frames for these pairs. The reason I look at all of these time frames up here is because I like to split candles up into different time frames. That way I get a good idea of what price is doing in a certain area. So if you look at just one time frame and try to read price based on just one time frame, it can be pretty misleading. A candle like this one, for example, it might look like a reversal candle on a smaller time frame, but if you're looking at it just on the daily, it looks like a big strong bearish candle. Now I'm not saying this candle specifically will look like a reversal candle on a lower time frame. I'm just saying, you know, for example, when you switch time frames, you get to see price in different states and you get to understand what price is actually doing in the area, as opposed to what you're seeing just by that single candle on that single time frame. And one last thing before we get started, I do not trade all of these time frames. The time frames I trade are the 3 hour, 4 hour, 6 hour, 8 hour, 12 hour and daily. The other time frames here, the 9, 10, 11, 7 and 5, they are there just for analysis purposes. Anyway, yeah, so let's get started with the analysis. We're going to look at USD JPY first. And we're going to work our way down. So on the daily, we're not really seeing much on USD JPY. It's broken through a support area. So this is the support area here. It's broken straight through it, which means we're not really going to see any signs of a reversal, at least not on the daily. Well, let's see what this looks like on the lower time frames. Yeah, it's pretty much dropping straight down. So no real potential for a trade on USD JPY, not a reversal trade anyway. Okay, let's check out USD CHF, see what's forming on here. Much like USD JPY, it's broken straight through its support area, so we're not really going to see much forming here. USD CAD, we've got the same story here. It's broken through the support area, so again, we're not going to see much forming here. I like to go through each and every time frame for the pair regardless of whether, like, if I know that there's not going to be a trade setup forming, I still go through each and every time frame. I just like having the process of going through each and every time frame. I like to follow that process. Ooh, okay, so New Zealand USD, we're seeing something interesting. I mean, it's approaching this area of resistance and it looks like it might be starting to stall. All right, yeah, let's zoom in. This is the 3 hour chart. I'm probably not going to take a trade on the 3 hour chart. I do usually trade the 3 hour chart, but the last few months I've been waiting for setups to form on the higher time frames. But we'll look at this on the 3 hour chart and I'll explain what I think is going on here. Basically, we have a nice strong preceding trend, so price headed up towards the resistance area here. Now we have price stalling. Now, this is price stalling on the 3 hour chart. So it could mean absolutely nothing in the grand scheme of things. 3 hour chart is a small time frame. So just because price is kind of stalling there, it doesn't actually mean that it's going to stall on one of the higher time frames and cause a reversal. That being said, when price stalls, it has to start somewhere. You know, it starts on the 5-minute chart or the 1-minute chart or the tick chart if you want. And, you know, the price stalls there for longer and longer and longer. And then we start to see it on the higher time frames, the 3-hour, the 6-hour, the 8-hour, etc. So, yeah, we're seeing signs of price slowing down or stalling at an area of resistance here on New Zealand USD on the 3-hour. So the best thing to do with this one is to just put it to the top of my list, and then I can monitor it closely and see what happens in the coming hours. So I wouldn't say this is ready for a reversal trade yet. This is just a potential. We could potentially see a setup forming here in the next 4 to 12 hours, let's say. So I'm going to keep a close eye on this, but yeah, other than that, it's not really anything tradable right now. It's just something to keep an eye on. On the forum, this is something we would add to the watch list and not to the trade section, essentially. Okay, let's check out GBP USD. It's in between two support resistance areas. It's already had a bounce. I think this was this posted to the forum yesterday, this trade here. There's a reversal on the 8-hour, and I think some of the lower time frames too. I was pretty busy yesterday, I didn't check the forum. I'm just going to check now. It wasn't posted, Gareth. All right, yeah, it wasn't posted to the forum. That's a shame. It looks like a pretty decent trade. But I'm not really going to spend time covering this, because if it wasn't posted to the forum and no one took it, then yeah, it's pointless discussing it. But yeah, it looked like it might have been a pretty good trade. You know, a bounce from support. Let's check out GBP JPY. GBP JPY is currently sitting on support and stalling. Well, not stalling, but it might be stalling. Yeah, it looks like it's stalling. But I don't know. I'm not too sure about that. I'd probably want to see something forming on the daily, and it doesn't look like it's going to form on the daily. Honestly, on the daily, it looks like it's falling straight through, and it does on most time frames. Even on the 12-hour, if it breaks this low, it's probably going to continue down. So yeah, let's just skip that one. Looks like nothing is going to stop the euro on its way up. And nothing much forming on Euro USD. Damn it, why does it do that? Oh, that's better. And nothing much going on Euro JPY either. But Euro GBP. Interesting. You may remember, I think it was last Thursday, I saw a potential setup here on Euro GBP. This previous resistance area. That setup didn't actually ever trigger. The low wasn't broken, so that setup wasn't entered. But now we're getting some signs of price stalling at the next resistance area. It would be a pretty tough trade, risk to reward ratio wise. Let's see. I'm curious to see if the candle were to close exactly as it is now. where we would need to be to get a To get a 1.5 risk to reward ratio, we'd need a pretty good entry, and the target would be down here at the next support area. Yeah, that makes it a bit tough. That doesn't mean that there's no potential here to take a trade. Price is definitely stalling. We got a nice looking indecision candle on the 12-hour chart. There would be potential to enter this as a retrace entry, because if you were to enter as a retrace, for example, so let's say the entry was a bit higher up there. That would allow you to hit a 1.5 risk to reward ratio before the support area. So, you know, that might give you a little bit better odds. This isn't a great trade setup, but there is still potential here. I mean, it's quite clear what we're seeing. We're seeing price stalling at an area of resistance. Buyers are still fighting to take control of price. They're pushing up, and they could very well continue up. But yeah, we are seeing clear signs here that price is struggling. Buyers are struggling to continue to push up. That's very clear from this candle, and well, not clear from this candle, but it could be by the time it closes. So yeah, it's worth keeping an eye on. If the low is broken, so if this low is broken, I wouldn't enter the trade, but if the low is broken and then price retraces slightly to give me like a slightly better entry, I might consider entering. But yeah, there's it's not an amazing setup, but I am going to move it to the top of the list and keep an eye on it. Nothing much on. Yeah, AUD New Zealand is sitting on top of a support area. Look at that on the 12-hour. That looks interesting. Not really a pair I trade that often, but you know, we are getting a solid indecision candle forming currently on the 12-hour chart. Yeah, okay. This it looks decent on the 12-hour chart. I mean, I'm not saying that I would enter this trade, and AUD New Zealand is not a pair I particularly like that much. But that is a pretty solid setup, and you can't really argue with the price action here. What we have here is sellers in control of price all the way down. They hit our support area and they stalled. Now it looks like buyers are fighting for control of price. So if this candle closes as it is now, exactly as it is now, there might be some potential for a long trade here. And it looks like it would have a good risk to reward ratio. Yeah, something like that. So, I don't know, based on the current candle, I would probably enter around about 1.060. My target would be 1.0715 roughly, and my stop would roughly be 1.0585. But you know, keep in mind that the candle hasn't closed yet, so we don't really know what's going to happen. If price is actually going to stall here, you know, this is just a potential setup. It might not turn into anything, but it is definitely something I am going to keep an eye on today. And let's finish things up with AUD JPY. Yeah, nothing much happening on AUDJPY. All right, so we have some potential setups here. AUD New Zealand is probably the best looking out of the bunch. I might consider trading this depending on how it closes, depending on if price stalls here for long enough. It is the 12-hour chart, and it has got 8 hours, 40 minutes until it closes. So this is going to take quite some time. And, you know, it is very possible that sellers are just going to continue moving straight down, and this won't turn into anything. This candle is still very, very young. It's been open 3 hours, 20 minutes. So anything can happen, and this might not turn out to be an actual trade setup, but it is something worth keeping an eye on, because like I was explaining with New Zealand USD, you know, price starts stalling on the low time frames, and we can see clearly here on the 3 hour it was stalling, on the 4 hour it was stalling. So it starts stalling on the lower time frames, and it just stays there for long enough to develop into a good trade on the higher time frames. So that could be happening here, or it could very well just drop straight down. So yeah, it's something to keep an eye on. New Zealand USD, yeah, what we're getting there is just price kind of slowing down on the lower time frames, but it actually looks like it's speeding up a little bit now. So this might not end up being anything, but it's still worth keeping an eye on. It could still move up quite a fair bit actually, before this setup would be completely invalidated, or this potential setup would be completely invalidated. So yeah, let's keep a close eye on this resistance area here. And yeah, Euro GBP, you know, it doesn't look that great, but it's something worth keeping an eye on. I think that wraps it up for the analysis. I don't think there's much else to look at today. None of these free setups, potential setups, are amazing, but hey, you're not always going to get amazing trade setups when you do your analysis. Sometimes you're going to get none. Sometimes you're going to get bad trade setups. Sometimes you're going to get a lot of amazing ones. It just depends day to day. And keep in mind, especially in summer, it really slows down, and you just don't see as many good reversal setups in summer. But thankfully summer, well, thankfully for trading, but not thankfully for the weather, summer is drawing to an end, so things should pick up again in the next month or two. But anyway, enough rambling from me. I hope you found this analysis useful. Keep a close eye on AUD New Zealand, New Zealand USD, Euro GBP. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Hey guys, thanks for watching this video. If you like this video, then give it a thumbs up below. If you have any questions regarding this video, then leave a comment below and I'll respond to it. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel to get notified as soon as I upload my videos. My Facebook and Twitter are in the description below. Thanks again for watching, and happy trading.